Well, the Knights are back from a well-rested, or hopefully well-rested bye week to take on the Baylor Bears. Can UCF get a much-needed win to really help themselves get to a bowl game? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Charge On. As always, I am your host, Sean Green. And as always, we are sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, we always say it, and it still rings true. FanDuel is the best place to get all your best odds, lines on any UCF game this season. College football, NFL, NBA is back. The best lines are on FanDuel. This week, UCF is the underdog. Heading to Baylor, they are 4.5-point underdogs going to play the Bears this week. If you like that line, you want to take UCF, head to FanDuel, the best lines out there in America's #1 sportsbook. I had a good bye week. Obviously, we had an episode released last week. It was nice to just kind of take a beat before the very busy end of the season. Nick, obviously gave you the week off. How was your bye week?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
I enjoyed my bye week. I'm sure everybody enjoyed their bye week too. Although it's a little lonely whenever Saturday comes. It's a college football Saturday and your team's not playing. Just kind of like
it was boring.
Yeah, you feel a little left out, but it was a crazy week of college football and UCF was left out of that. But yes, they're well rested, hopefully, coming into this game. And this is we say every game's a big one, but this is especially, a really, really big one because I think we would all agree that UCF's bowl hopes and aspirations are almost riding maybe on this game when you look at the rest of the schedule and what UCF has to play and who they have to play. This is a game that going into the season, we're probably leaning towards, it's going to be a Baylor win, move on the road. Baylor's probably going to be a really good team after what they did last year at the end of the season, but I don't know, it might be a little bit different. We'll talk through it, but this is a massive, massive game for UCF.
No, it is. I will say, on Saturday, usually when UCF doesn't play, I watch either Florida State or Florida, not because I want to, but because I root for them to lose. So it was a really... So I will say,
I thought you did. I thought you were going to. What about USF? Were you not rooting for USF to lose?
So I'll say this: I usually don't have to pay attention to USF, but I was out at in Winter Garden, downtown Winter Garden, and I forgot which restaurant it was, Hungry Bison or Hangry Bison or something, and they had the game up, and I'm like, I totally forgot. USF, biggest game of the weekend here. I can't tell you how much joy and pleasure I got watching that game and seeing that team just completely fumble the bag. Completely fumble. Just as I knew they would. And I texted you, I said, I knew it would happen. It was only a matter of time before the fraudulent effort finally showed its rear ugly face.
Just leave my boy Nico out of this. Leave him out of it.
Now, listen, missed a kick. Missed a big-time kick, Don't know what else to say. I knew he was going to miss it.
I don't care where that young man's playing. He's got the Grammatica name to it. The Grammatica name means a lot to me as a Bucs fan. Can't root against that
UCF
kid.
fans don't... Listen, Nick loves the kicker, that's it. Nick loves the kicker, that's it.
I love the kicker.
But no, it was a good Saturday because of that. That's why I enjoyed the bye week. So there's your little celebrate on their grave talk for you. But, we'll move on.
I was going to say UCF's other rival is
they're also sucking, actually, but they had a little bye week. They got to,
Which rival were you thinking of?
Well,
I don't think that's the one I was thinking of.
No, it's not. What were you thinking of?
I was thinking of Cincinnati, who actually played this team that we're about to play.
It's fine. Us and Cincinnati are cool this year. It's fine.
They had a pretty good week, and they're in Big 12 title contention. So
they did, and they're getting College Game Day. Well, it's kind of them and Utah are getting College Game Day, which Game Day finally
going to a Big 12 football game. My goodness,
what a shocker! It's not like 5 of the Big 12 teams are ranked this week. Whoa, we have to go to a Big 12 game. Crazy. And the ACC is just every single week getting worse and worse and worse. But no, we got to go to a Big 12 game. That stinks. Yeah, I know. Credit to College Game Day, though, for going. But let's reverse. Let's go back to UCF. Nick mentioned it, and I talked about it on the podcast last week. This is the game. I think that a lot of things have changed since even last week, because I recorded on Friday and I dropped it same day. And this was before Houston is now ranked. That is now, however many weeks that Houston has won a football game and beating really good opponents. Or let me rephrase. Opponents. But it definitely, to Nick's point, changes the outlook of your season. I said Baylor looks like a beatable team now. Like, you're looking at a Baylor team that UCF should have every business being in the game. And these next 2 weeks are crucial. They are. Right now, you're at 5 wins. You're not losing to Oklahoma State. I mean, if they do, we have to come up with some interesting thing that we have to do, because I would find it very hard to believe that UCF will lose to Oklahoma State. That means if you don't beat the ranked opponents on your schedule that are not including Houston, we're going to say Houston is a doable game because it's at home. But taking Texas Tech and BYU out of it, these next 2 weeks, Baylor and Houston are the 2 games where you need to win one of them to get to a bowl game. Now, Nick, Scott Frost talked this week, and he gave the coach speak of, we're only focused on this week. Like, we're not focused on, bowl game or anything like that. We're focused on winning this week. We're like, yada, 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 BS, whatever. Listen, I think me and you both agree. Now, this is the game that you kind of need. Like, Houston, I think you have a chance to beat Houston, but Houston has kind of come on late. They're clicking when they need to click. And this Baylor team, it becomes harder because it's on the road, Nick. But this kind of seems like the game where you kind of need to steal a game, go on the road and get a win.
Yeah, you have to win a game on the road here, I think. You got to steal one. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you could always beat Houston. You could beat Oklahoma State, and that'll be that. I had to make sure that Oklahoma State was at home, and it is. You could always win those 2 games and make it easier on yourself, but I think that's, we've seen UCF play on the road twice so far this year, and in both games, it hasn't exactly been pretty. They put themselves in a hole against Kansas State. Cincinnati was just the game of missed opportunities and penalties, shooting yourself in the foot, wasting a great effort by the defense. We don't have to rehash the whole thing, even though I guess I just kind of did. But it'd be nice for them to sort of steal a win on the road, and I think this is a game is very gettable. I mean, this Baylor team is sort of difficult to figure out, Sean, because I think there's talent on this roster. I think you would agree with that. And they have some really good playmakers, especially on the offensive side of the football. But you can't really say the same thing about the other side of the ball. And that's sort of been their downfall this year. They've played in a lot of close games. I mean, that's one thing you could say about Baylor. 14-point loss to start the season against Auburn, but I think that game was relatively close until late. They lost by 3 to Arizona State. They lost by a touchdown to TCU, and then they got pretty blown out on the road last week against Cincinnati. So that was the first game that was truly out of reach for them. But other than that, I mean, their wins against Kansas State was close. They had to go to double overtime to beat SMU. Like, they've been playing a lot of close football games. So I have to think this one's probably going to be right up that along those lines too. A really close football games, and it's going to be all about those fine margins. And we have seen Baylor; they have not exactly looked great in those moments, especially of late.
No, they haven't, and I think that's why you look at this game and you say, okay, like, UCF had a really good week against West Virginia. They had a bye week. Can they potentially go on the road, which UCF has not done? I mean, again, their last road win, I think, was Cincinnati in 2023, I think, was their last road win. And
just
that's
period, or in the Big 12? Or that's period, right?
I think period. Big 12 war period. Yeah, I think they have not won a road game in
oh my gosh,
like 2 years. So, I mean, I might be wrong on that, but I think
I don't think they won one last year.
Didn't win one last year. Again, I did watch along, so I know. I'm trying to remember, because I feel like
the 2023 season, they should have won. They had a chance to win multiple road games. I know that. They kind of let some of those get away, but I think it was Cincinnati then.
Right? I feel like that's the only one. I'm probably missing one, but TCU.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, TCU.
How could we forget that game?
I know.
Magical as it was.
Well, because there wasn't many wins last year. But to that, the point still stands. UCF doesn't win many road games over the last couple years. And, I don't want to throw whoever asked the question under the bus, but they asked Scott Frost, the Baylor game from a couple years ago at home where UCF...
We didn't need to bring that back up. We didn't have to.
But we didn't need to put it in the ether.
I have the visual of Timmy McClain in my head now.
That was a rough game.
I didn't need that.
But to that point, it's like, this is a new staff. So, yes, UCF still has not proven that they can win on the road, right? You lose to Cincinnati, you lose to Kansas State. We can make the argument those are two of UCF's worst games were against those two teams on the road. So, we're going to talk through it and talk why this could be a game for UCF where you could probably steal one. And I do think that you're going to have a really good opportunity here. And it's really going to come down to how good is UCF off the bye week? Like, how much is that bye week going to help them, or how much is it going to hurt them? And I think the last week they came off the bye, didn't look that great. So I think there is some skepticism here about them performing well, but you are kind of getting granted, you're not getting granted a Texas Tech. You're not getting granted a Utah right now. You're getting granted a Baylor for a chance to really set yourself up for a bowl game.
Well, yeah, and UCF's been I think every team can probably say that they're banged up and they're dealing with guys who are out for the season. But, UCF has been certainly dealing with that. And we had another, Stacey Gage, sounds like he's out. He had surgery, so he's out for the season. Now, granted, Stacey wasn't really a big part of the game plan. So, it's not like a big loss or anything to what UCF wants to do, but obviously don't want to see the injury. But point being, they had a lot of guys banged up. And so you're hoping with this bye week that they can come back as healthy as they've been in weeks here. It's a noon kickoff game, so I guess for them it's going to be like 11 o'clock Central Time.
Same thing at Kansas State.
Same thing at Kansas State. They didn't exactly play well in that one, but yeah, I think everything is right here in front of them. I think they grabbed some momentum with a dominant win against West Virginia, a team that you should win, but it was so convincing. I think we came out of that and said, okay, UCF they're certainly a tier ahead of those types of teams, but how comparable are they to a team like Baylor? I think they're very comparable, and I think you're going to see them compete really well. And I think in general, it's going to be led by this defense for UCF, which you look at it. Is it the number 2 defense in the Big 12? Top 20 overall in the nation. Sign everyone up for that 7 games into the season, right? I think we'd all take that. So I think that's the unit that's going to continue to lead the way from them. But this is still going to be a big test against a Baylor offense that has proven they can put up a lot of points.
Well, let's talk about Baylor a little bit. Obviously, Coach Dave Aranda, UCF fans remember a couple years ago where UCF was absolutely smoking the Baylor Bears, and somehow, miraculously, Baylor won the game. And Dave Aranda was the head coach. That season, Dave Aranda was on the hot seat, and kind of after the UCF game, turned around a little bit. Stuff got turned around a bit. Last year had a pretty good year, and now this year it's kind of the same thing where it's like you're kind of just middle of the pack. There was expectations for Baylor to do a lot this year, and they haven't really lived up to those expectations. Nick mentioned it. We'll get into the offense here in a second. But Sawyer Robertson, again, UCF fans should know who he is. Saw him a couple years ago. Having a monster year, a really good quarterback. Probably one of the best quarterbacks you'll see all year. But the defense is really the issue. Baylor is legitimately one of the worst defenses in the Big 12. They have literally allowed more than, we'll just say 25 points in every single game, except Samford. They have allowed 30 or more points in every single game, but 3 of them. So that should tell you something. And those 3 were Oklahoma State, Samford, and Arizona State, which Arizona State, that's, credit to them for holding Arizona State, and Sam Leavitt. But Nick, it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, the one side is so bad and the one side is good, but when both don't mesh very well, it becomes increasingly difficult to build a substantial team.
Yeah, what you get is you get an average product, and 4-4, and I think Dave Aranda and this is his 6th year at Baylor. They're 35-34 overall. So, I mean, outside of the 2021 season, which I believe ended with like a Sugar Bowl victory, if I'm not mistaken, I think that might have been one of the best seasons in the history of Baylor football. I mean, outside of that, they just sort of been middle of the pack, and I'm not as plugged in, obviously, to Baylor and what their expectations are as a program. I don't think they want to be middle of the pack. Especially, during the 2010s, they were definitely a team that was contending a lot, under Bryles before, and then Matt Rule had them going really well, and now they've sort of plateaued. And you can argue as this season continues to go on, it feels like they're going in the wrong direction. And I say it all the time, like once you get to this part in the season, you kind of become who you are. You are who you are. The same way how UCF is probably not going to get better on the offensive line and run the football with any consistency. The same way Baylor, their slow starts, which that's been a big thing for Baylor. Almost every game they've played, they've gotten off to a really slow start, especially defensively. They put themselves in a hole, and then in the second half, their offense has to do a lot of heavy lifting, and that's where Sawyer Robertson has been able to come through for them and some of the guys that they have at the playmaking positions, but it's just not a sustainable way to play, quite frankly. And their defense, to put it in perspective, this is a bad tackling defense, and this is something that UCF has to take advantage of. Baylor has missed 95 tackles this season. To put that into context, UCF has missed 59. I mean, that's quite a substantial difference there in terms of missed tackle. And if you don't tackle well, it's a lot of yak you give up, big plays. UCF, we know, has been able to hit those big plays, especially in the running game. And then we saw against West Virginia, they were able to hit some of those big plays in the passing game too. So it's something that they can take advantage of in a matchup that I sort of really like for them. We mentioned UCF not being able to run the ball with any consistency. Well, this run defense for Baylor is 108th in the nation, I believe, going into this game. That they have just really struggled to do much from that side. So I don't think UCF's going to be able to run with any consistency at this point, but if they can just hit those 2 or 3 splash plays that they've been doing in the run game, it should go a long way for them.
Yeah, don't kid yourself. It doesn't matter how good of a run defense or not UCF plays. Like Nick said, they're not going to be able to run the football effectively. It's going to come down to, can they hit those big plays on that defense? And I think, okay, we can kind of talk about that. UCF versus the Baylor defense. Like, ultimately, this is going to be a tale of which defense can stop the opposing offense. And I know that's how it always is, right? It's football. But this truly is going to come down to, listen, UCF's defense is better than their offense. That's not a shocker, right? Baylor's offense is better than their defense. UCF, though, going on the road, week off, hostile environment, I think it's going to be imperative for this offense to show, like, hey, we can go on the road and perform. Like, this is 2 times that they've gone on the road, and the offense has looked inept. Like Kansas State, they looked awful. Obviously, they were dealing with the quarterback injuries and Taven going down, Jakari going down, Taven coming back in. So there was that game. Then you had Cincy, which was Cam Fancher, right? So this is going to be the first game on the road where really UCF, hopefully, plays a majority of the game basically healthy. What does this offense, obviously, does it simply come just down to execution, Nick, at this point? Like, yeah, this Baylor defense is really not that great. You should be able to perform on these guys, but how much of the road factor kind of plays into the execution part for them?
Well, I look at penalties. I think that we all have to look at that. Those procedural penalties, those just stupid penalties that have sort of added up for UCF. And it was bad against Kansas State. It was really bad against Cincinnati. And to me, like, those things is what's really been holding UCF back on offense. Like, I don't think they're having trouble moving the ball. Like, it's a top 30 offense nationally in terms of yards per game, but it's just too many self-inflicted errors that have sort of gotten away from them particularly on those 2 games on the road. So that's a hurdle that they have to get over. And I don't need to say that. I think they've said that too. Like, they understand it, but at some point, you've got to fix it. You've got to fix it. And when you go on the road, the margin of error is definitely even thinner than what it is when you play at home, obviously. We've seen those issues at home too. So it's just sort of been like a trait of what UCF is at this point. So I you just hope that they can get that corrected at least for one full game here, because as I mentioned, I think there are some really good matchups that they can take advantage of here, offense versus their defense.
No, 100%. I agree. I mean, once you get past the 50-yard line, on the road, it's shown that UCF really just, kills their own momentum. And that's, listen, they said they're going to practice on it this week. I think if you can really limit yourself from those procedural penalties, I think you're going to give yourself a really good chance to win. But also at the same time, you can't really settle for field goals. You're going to have to understand that, to Nick's point, late in the game, Baylor's going to just flip a switch and really turn it on. And I think if you're UCF, the thing that helps you is you do have a, dare I say, elite defense that is going to be able to make enough stops. The question is, are you going to be able to keep up with the amount of points that Baylor can score? If you play defensively like you did against Cincinnati, UCF wins this game by a touchdown or two. And I know Baylor usually keeps it close, but Baylor's proven against really good defenses, they do struggle on offense. It's against the offensive-heavy teams that they've been able to have success.
Yeah, and the other part you can look at this, I think this is almost equally, if not a bigger game for Baylor, maybe than it even is for UCF. It's a really big game for UCF, but for Baylor, if they lose a road game to UCF, given where UCF is as a program right now, and given the expectations they had coming into the season, it's going to start to get a little noisy in Waco. And it might be getting noisy already for Dave Aranda, because this is year 6. And they were expecting more. And like I said, there's talent on this team. Sawyer Robertson is a very, very talented quarterback. I don't think anybody's going to question that. Michael Trigg is one of the best tight ends in the entire nation. That's probably going to be an NFL guy right there. Cameron, the receiver, one of the top wideouts in the Big 12. There's talent on here. So they know that if they drop this game and go to 4-5, it's going to get noisy around Waco. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on them. And so are they going to wilt to that pressure, or are they going to rise up and put together maybe an inspired performance here and move forward with the rest of their season? I think that's the other dynamic that's at play here for Baylor.
They finished the season with us at home, Utah at home, at Arizona, and then finished the season at home against Houston. So, I mean, none of those games are gimmies at all. None of them. And that's where, if you're Baylor, you're looking at this UCF game that should be the game that we get, right? Just like we're looking at Oklahoma State and saying that's the game we're definitely going to be able to get. So if you're UCF, you got to play spoiler. You need to go in and just play a very clean game, and you're going to give yourself a chance to win. Now, ultimately, before the season, we picked UCF to lose this game. And yeah, UCF is the underdog for a reason. Going to Waco, playing a Baylor team that's probably going to be hungry for a win, coming off a couple losses, haven't played very well. It's going to be a challenge. And we kind of segue that into their offense a little bit, Nick. I mean, you mentioned it. I think their offense is better than, people do give credit for. I think Baylor can put up points in bunches when they want. The issue is it's not consistent enough. I think if you go look at their fourth quarter scoring, I'd be shocked if any other team scores more than Baylor in the fourth quarter. I think there's 3 times this season they put up at least 18 points in the fourth quarter. Maybe it's 2 or 3. That's impressive. And I mean, we know it. We know it firsthand. The surgence of a late Baylor team coming back and winning a game. Sawyer Robertson, I think, has 23 touchdowns, 7 picks. The run game is not crazy good. It's okay. It's not anything that's going to really break your back. I mean, I think their starting running back has 100 yards. He has not played good over the last couple weeks, and I think Miles Montgomery has 100 rushing yards less than this guy. And again, the passing game is what makes Baylor unique. It's what makes them special.
He hasn't really got much volume the last few weeks. Bryson Washington, is the running back.
I think he got knocked out with concussion last week, or he got knocked out of the game. We thought it was concussion, but I think he's cleared for the game on Saturday.
Yeah. It's probably a middle of the road, rushing attack. If we're being honest, it's probably middle of the road. But I mean, they got guys all over the field that can make plays in the passing game. And I mentioned Michael Trigg, very, very, very talented tight end. Josh Cameron, very talented receiver. Ashton Hawkins, Cole Wilson, Kobe Prentice. I mean, they're really deep. They are really deep. It's not just one guy that they get the production from. So that definitely scares you a little bit, and you have to account for that. But, I go back to the fact that UCF played two dynamic offenses in Kansas and Cincinnati. And again, they kept them well under their averages. So they've proven that when they play good offenses that they're able to, not completely shut them down, but be really effective and give the team a chance to go out and win the game on offense. So until proven otherwise, I have to think you're going to get that same effort from UCF. Now, this is a pretty decent to good offensive line for Baylor. They've given Sawyer Robertson some good protection this season, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But he's got the 7 interceptions. They throw a lot. I mean, he's got 300. He's got over 300 attempts already throughout the season. He'll throw you one. And we have seen this UCF defense be able to get turnovers. So turnover battle, penalties. I mean, this is stuff that you talk about going into every game, but it's going to be really important in this one too.
He didn't throw an interception against Cincinnati, but again, that game was, interesting. Obviously, Oklahoma State, he didn't throw one. And then SMU and Auburn, he didn't throw one. He had 2 against Samford. He had 1 against Arizona State, 1 against Kansas State, and 3 against TCU. So, I mean, and again, he's not really a running quarterback, so I think that bodes well for UCF. I mean, he will run a couple times, but I think having a guy that's mainly a pocket guy will help UCF and their pass rush. But no, I think this is going to be a really good test for the defensive backs. This is going to be another one of those tests where we think that the secondary is pretty good. We know the defensive line is good even with the injuries, but this is going to be a big test. Can you continue the streak of not allowing big plays to beat you? If it's dinking and dunking and getting in the red zone and making a stop, that I think will be a good recipe. But can you play solid defense and play sound in the secondary to make sure Sawyer Robertson doesn't just die you up all game? But, all right. Let's do predictions. Because I think that's as good of a scouting report as we can do. On at least Baylor's front. I don't want to change my mind or potentially change my mind. But, Nick, I'll let you start per usual. Line is 4.5.
I really want UCF, I think we all do, to get bowl eligible, and I think you got to have this one. I really do. Space game magic aside, that could happen against Houston, of course, as you have that in your back pocket. But I don't know. I got a feeling they're going to go into Waco and they're going to win a football game, Sean. I got a feeling. I think it's going to be really, really close. Really, really close. I'm thinking 30-27. UCF wins.
Hate to be that guy.
Oh. You didn't tell me beforehand which way you were leaning.
I didn't. I think UCF has a really good chance to win the game. I do. I really want them to win the game, obviously. I want to go to a bowl game. Me and Nick want to go to a bowl game. That's just plain and simple. I want to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, it could be the Boca Bowl for all I care.
I don't care. Literally any bowl game you put me in. No, look, I do think UCF has a really good chance to win this game. There is the factor for me right now, which is, number one, they have not proven to me this season that they can perform well on the road. That's just the fact.
Very true.
Against Kansas State, a team that you should have been able to compete with, you basically looked like the inferior team the entire time. And I know there was a lot on that game, so I'm not going to divulge it. But past couple of years, same thing. Road Warriors is not a thing. You find ways to lose on the road. This is a different team. Obviously, I think a week of preparation will help that. I just think Baylor is coming off that Cincinnati loss is tough. They're going to be hungry. They're coming off of a couple losses here. And again, I don't like picking against UCF because I do feel like they have a really good chance. And it would not shock me in the slightest. The last time, though, we're not doing a live watch-along. This is it coupled with my prediction. We're not doing a live watch-along. And anybody that knows me knows I'm very superstitious. I'm very superstitious. And last time I'm going to New York for the weekend, doing some business stuff up there. And the last time I was in New York was for the AAC championship game against Tulane. That was the last time I was in New York during a UCF game. And it has literally nothing to do with the game, zero to do with the football game. Like, at the end of the day, this is years ago. If you guys remember, it was in our first season of doing this podcast, and I literally got off the plane, came home, we recorded a podcast, and I watched the game in New York. I'm in New York on Saturday. That's why there's no live watch on. And I'm kind of just going with, I think it's it's a game you can win, and you could easily go in and win, but I'm going to pick Baylor here. I'm going to say Baylor 24-21. Baylor.
Oh, low scoring. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I really hope
I know where to direct my arrows after your result comes true.
Oh no, 100%. If you guys want to, maybe I'll do like a live or a thing on Twitter, like a quick live stream or something on Twitter or YouTube on my phone. But I am fully ready and prepared for all of the look. You picked against UCF and they won. I'd love that. If they won again, that only helps us. It only helps me if they win. Like, again, I want to go to a bowl game. I need to get Nick out of that house. So, like, please, like, get the win now. So I don't need to stress.
I get out enough. Thank you. I get out enough.
But wouldn't it be great? Yes, if they could win this week, then there's like no stress. It's like, you have Oklahoma State, and then imagine the crash out if you lose to Oklahoma State that you'll get from this show. But it's like, at that point, it's just you play free. Like, you got 6 wins in the bag.
You got nothing to lose at that point.
You literally have nothing to lose. But I'm going to pick Baylor, even though I don't want them to win.
Isn't friend of the show Stephen Leonard? Isn't he making the drive up to Baylor?
I don't know. I have no idea. I guess you'll find out as much as I do.
We'll find out. We'll find out together. By the way, this is completely off topic, but
I mean,
for the show the show tonight, did you decide, like, willingly to put on your UCF orientation shirt? Is that what you did that willingly?
I mean, can I be honest? It was just the first thing I saw.
That's interesting. Your UCF orientation shirt. I had one. I had that same one. 2019 summer orientation.
It's getting worn out. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you.
The sleeves look like they've shrunk a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah. I kind of was noticing that. I was noticing that. I'm like,
it's certainly not your muscular biceps that have brought those sleeves up your
all right,
arm.
well,
I'll tell you that.
They are muscular. Let's not kid ourselves. But no, the shirt is definitely a little bit snug than I remember. And I had a baseball fall. I have my Pebble Beach hat too, so that was a good match, right? Navy blue with black and gold or yellow. It all fits. It all works. Well, thanks for calling that out, though. I appreciate you.
I guess my overall final thought is it'd be great for the community, the Orlando community, that is, for UCF to go out and get a win, because
right the wrong from a couple years ago.
Right the wrong from a couple of years ago, and Lord knows the Orlando Magic are just not really giving I know, sensitive subject for you, but they're just not giving you. They're not. It's playing some inspired basketball right now, so it'd be great for one of the Orlando teams to get going here.
And
we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, we don't want me going on a 30-minute rant of epic proportions on why the Orlando Magic are garbage and all the changes that they've made to better the team are actually awful. And no, I'm not talking about adding Desmond Bane. I love it. I'm talking about the pace, the up in pace. I hate it. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love the Orlando Magic, by the way, and they're going to be fine. The start's really upsetting me, but I will be okay. It's not like I've cried myself to sleep the last 5 nights. Thank you so much for tuning in to Charge On. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that you do. We really appreciate it. Again, no live watch along. No live watch along on Saturday. I know you all are crying at your homes right now. I understand. But we will have 2 more live watch alongs. And of course, that's against Texas Tech and BYU. I'm sure those will go awesomely. But I will be on social media, so if you want to direct all of your negative comments at me for picking Baylor, you can do so, or you could drop a comment. Let us know down below. What is your score prediction for this Saturday? Do you think UCF will get to 5 wins? 5-3 would be awesome. I know we haven't really said the record. 5-3 just sounds nice. I just like the sound of 5-3, and that'd be great. And as always, we are sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, we just mentioned it. I'm picking UCF to lose, but to cover. I'm only picking them to lose by 3. Nick's picking them to win by 3. He's picking them outright. And if you want to make any wager on this game, head to FanDuel. They've got the best lines every single week for UCF, and they are a proud sponsor of the Charge On podcast. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Charge On, presented by FanDuel. We will see you Saturday.